As sure as a wolf howls, midnight brought a fiery blaze. Moria stood in the middle of the night, brewing her next scheme over a roaring fire with her trusty cauldron, and her ever-lazy, sarcastic black cat, Daniel Thorne, by her side. "We're always brewing something to try and get ahead," Daniel Thorne muttered, watching lazily as she stirred the pot. "Well, you're always brewing. I don't have to conjure anything to get success. It's natural to me," he said. "Anyways, you're a cultivating genius," he added with a smirk. "I know," Moria replied, her happy witch's laugh piercing the darkness. The fire illuminated her mischievous grin as firelight danced on her sharp facial features. She was concocting a potion, an herbal brew designed to stimulate root growth in her new batch of pumpkins. It was genius, not the flick of a wand or an incantation, something far more clever. She planned to pour the potion directly into the soil, nourishing the seeds she had planted days before. This year, she would finally beat the crippled crow, Clever, whose pumpkins were always better tasting, better looking, and sold better at the Chicken Town market. Clever's crop had always been the envy of the season. Every year, his pumpkins were the pride of the market, admired for their richness and beauty. But this year, Moria was convinced it was her time to shine. She finished her brew and poured it over her pumpkin patch, watching with eager eyes. The weeks passed, and she checked her crops daily, hiring Clever's crow friends to guard her garden and keep every insect and worm away. "This year is mine," she whispered to herself. She would stop at nothing to claim the honor of the best pumpkins in the market. "And also mine, I will keep the title of the first and best pumpkin carver," Daniel Thorne added. Meanwhile, Clever, weary from years of successful pumpkin harvests, decided to take a break this season. As he worked his usual graveyard shift, he noticed the harvest lord wandering the fields. Clever swooped down and asked, "What are you up to?" The harvest lord sighed. "I'm still searching for my skull. Every year, I go through these white pumpkins, hoping one of them is my skull, but all I find are lookalikes. I wish it was as easy as finding those spectacles." Clever looked at the patch of white pumpkins. "I thank you again for finding her glasses, and what do you do with the pumpkins when you're done?" "We feed them to the crows and cows," the harvest lord replied. Clever's eyes brightened. "Well, I'm not growing pumpkins this year, but if you don't need them, I'd hate to see them go to waste. I'd be happy to take them off your hands. I'll even take them to the Chicken Town market, and whatever earnings I earn, I will split them with you." "There's no need for that. You keep whatever you earn, and you can have them all," the harvest lord said. Clever agreed, happily accepting all the white pumpkins, and the two began harvesting. Though they searched again for the harvest lord's lost skull, they found nothing but pumpkins, and the harvest lord left the field in disappointment once more. Clever, however, wasted no time. He gathered the white pumpkins with the help of the emperor's servants, preparing them for the market. The next morning, Moria stepped out into her garden as the fog lifted, and to her astonishment, she saw pumpkins everywhere. Finally, a good crop. "Daniel Thorne," she called, waking her lazy cat. "What do you want?" he asked, stretching as he strolled outside. "Look at all these pumpkins. We did it. This year we'll win for sure," Moria declared triumphantly. "I wouldn't be so sure, besides I already won. I'm a certified winner in my book," Daniel Thorne replied, yawning. "You know how these things go. I can already see it in your face anyways. You're expecting too much." Moria scowled. "You're always so negative." "I wonder where I get it from," Daniel Thorne quipped. "Maybe it's my delightful company." "Whatever," Moria huffed. "Let's get to work. We'll make a fortune." Excited, but unsure of how much her crop was worth, Moria flew on her broom to visit Lady Orlinda, a fortune teller with a crystal ball. Moria had dealt with Orlinda before, and it always left a bitter taste in her mouth. But this time, she couldn't help herself. She needed to know her future earnings. Upon arrival, Moria couldn't wait to share the news. "Orlinda, I've finally done it. My fields are flourishing, and I've got more pumpkins than ever. Can you tell me how much I'll make?" Orlinda gazed into her crystal ball, seeing the vibrant pumpkin patch. "It's true, Moria. This is your year. You'll make a whopping fortune. Moria grinned. I knew it. At last, it's all paying off. By the way, Orlinda added, since you have so many pumpkins, could I have one? Moria's smile faded. I can't make a fortune by giving them away, Orlinda. How much are you offering? Orlinda raised an eyebrow. I'm not offering anything, Moria. You have so many. Surely you can spare one. Moria's tone turned icy. Well, if you want one, you'll have to pay like everyone else. Fortune-telling doesn't mean you get freebies. Orlinda sighed. Forget it. I'll just buy one at the market. Moria left in a huff, already calculating how she would spend her future fortune. I already sold one and I haven't even gone to market, she said to herself. She arrived at the cottage and asked her cat, is this what success feels like? I could get used to this. Perhaps I'll buy myself a new pewter wand or a new pewter cauldron. Maybe a new spellbook with pewter binding and an ornate cover. She was so eager to begin harvesting, convinced that this year was hers to claim. The next morning, as Moria prepared for the market, she was filled with a sense of triumph. But when she arrived at the Chickentown market, her face dropped. There, right in the center of the marketplace, was Clever in his massive display of ashen pumpkins. They were shimmering in the early morning light, and people were already gathering around, admiring the strange and unique harvest. Orlinda was in line to buy a white pumpkin and Moria shouted her name. Did you still want to buy a pumpkin from me? Orlinda waved and said, no thanks. I am getting one of these white ones. They's pretty. Are you sure? You said you would buy one from me at the market, remember? I said I would buy one, but I didn't say from you. Orlinda said, I will discount one for you. Moria added, I'm sure. I really like this white one right here. Okay, I will give you one for free, Moria said. You can't make a fortune by giving them away, remember? Orlinda stated. That's right, Clever said as he interjected. What is this? Moria whispered, her heart sinking, growing upset that Orlinda didn't buy from her and bought from Clever instead. Daniel Thorne strolled up lazily beside her. Looks like Clever beat you again. But how? Moria seethed. He wasn't even supposed to grow pumpkins this year. Daniel Thorne gave a half-hearted shrug. Guess he found a way. He always does. Anyways, I conserved all my energy to defend my title. Moria clenched her fists, watching as Clever's pumpkins sold out one by one. Her own pumpkins sat untouched in the corner of the market. The townspeople, fascinated by the unusual white pumpkins, had no interest in her ordinary crop. Her plan had failed. Again. As the day came to an end, Moria stood by her unsold pumpkins, bitterness welling up inside her. Next year, she muttered under her breath. Next year will be different. I'll make sure of it. Daniel Thorne, sprawled out on a pile of unsold pumpkins, lazily flicked his tail. You said that last year and the year before, and before he yawned and said and before again. Since you have so many pumpkins, I will take a load off your cart and take this one right here. I have plans to carve it for the contest. The second annual pumpkin carving contest began and Daniel Thorne was hard at work. He tried his hardest and couldn't get the same effect because he wasn't trying to get a very small mouse out of a pumpkin this time. Realizing he was in no way placing in this contest, he flicked his tail, purposely hitting his pumpkin off the table. He blamed a child and said he was sabotaged and he was out of the competition. This year Orlinda won the carving contest. She took her time and carved the best face imaginable. Maybe she could see herself winning in her crystal ball? Who knows? Daniel Thorne shot blame at everything and Moria's eyes narrowed, drowning his complaining out. She wouldn't let Clever win again. Next year she will be ruthless. She would stop at nothing to claim the glory she deserved, even if it meant using every dark spell in her book. And as she flew home that night, the flames of her fiery ambition burned brighter than ever. Her and Daniel Thorne took the flight of shame home, but this time it stung a little more. Two losers sulking and drowning in each other's complaints. True success often comes from natural talent and patience, rather than forced effort and magic.